What should you do when severe weather strikes? Stay tuned as the station that tracks storms brings you a severe weather special. Learn what to do to be safe in a storm from K-Texas Chief Meteorologist Mark Rowlett, Morning Meteorologist Danielle Dozier, and Weekend Meteorologist Julie Phillips.
Brought to you by Abilene Teachers Federal Credit Union and Taylor Electric Cooperative.
Welcome to the K-Texas Spring Weather Special. I'm K-Texas Chief Meteorologist Mark Rowlett. In this half hour, we're going to look at what you need to do when severe weather threatens. This past year, most of us were very lucky as we had a fairly quiet year with no reported tornado touchdowns in our area. But all it takes is one to move through a population center to make national headlines. Meteorologist Danielle Dozier and Julie Phillips went to Sweetwater, a community that was hit by a powerful tornado 25 years ago.
That's right, Mark. I'm meteorologist Danielle Dozier here with meteorologist Julie Phillips. Here in Sweetwater, many will never forget the morning of April 19th, 1986. That's when an F3 tornado ripped through the city, causing $15 million in damage and killing one person. A tornado is a violently rotating column of air in contact with the ground. Most tornadoes in our area move from southwest to northeast or west to east. The peak months for tornadoes here are March through June, but they can occur any time of the year when conditions are right. Here's damage from the Sweetwater tornado back in 1986. You can see homes were nearly leveled to the ground. The highest wind speed ever measured in a tornado is 302 miles per hour. The biggest tornado ever recorded still stands at 2.5 miles wide. But these type are very rare. The vast majority of tornadoes have winds that are less than 120 miles per hour and are very much survivable if you take proper shelter. When a tornado approaches, get inside a sturdy building. Stay on the lowest floor. Get inside a small room, like a bathroom, closet, or hallway. And if there's time, cover yourself with a thick blanket. Putting as many walls between you and the outside, as well as protecting yourself from flying debris, could help save your life. Another type of severe weather are downbursts. They are sudden downdrafts of air that rush out of thunderstorms and cause damaging winds near the ground.
Take a look at this. 80-mile-per-hour winds mangled the metal roof of the Old Century Lodge Motel back in June of 2009. Downbursts are classified into two types, the microburst and the macroburst. The microburst has a wind swath of less than 2.5 miles wide. The macroburst, greater than that. In a macroburst, winds as high as 135 miles per hour can cause just as much damage as a tornado.
And here's damage caused by a downburst from a line of severe thunderstorms that moved through Cross Plains in January 2009. 60 to 70 mile per hour straight line winds were reported.
You just saw firsthand the damage that tornadoes and downbursts can cause. That's why it's critical that you understand the difference between a severe weather watch and warning and the criteria that make up each one. And Danielle, you took a look.
Whether it's a huge hailstorm or a blinding blizzard, paying attention to watches and warnings is your first line of defense when it comes to protecting yourself from Mother Nature's worst. A watch means that conditions are favorable for bad weather to develop. A warning means that severe weather is happening or about to happen, and you should take cover immediately. Both are issued for all types of weather. However, warnings are only issued if a storm contains certain elements. In the winter, a storm has to have heavy snow, sleet, or freezing rain. With a severe thunderstorm, there are a few unique elements. There has to be either 1-inch hail, which is about quarter-sized, damaging winds of 58 miles per hour, or a tornado. Should any of these be threatening, a warning is issued. These severe thunderstorm warnings highlight only the cities in the direct path of the storm. It replaces the old method of county warnings, which would have covered a much broader area.
Now let's turn over to Mark in the studio, who has more on how we track storms.
To help you prepare for life-threatening storms, we have our Storm Tracker Network, which includes weather stations all around the big country.
We have a weather station on our roof here at K-Texas as well. We are able to retrieve the data from our station in our weather center. The station gives us the current temperature outside, it's able to measure the speed and direction of the blowing winds, and has a rain gauge to constantly measure the amount of precipitation that we've gotten. All of these tools help us to accurately monitor changing weather conditions, especially during severe weather events. This helps us keep you safe and ahead of the storm during severe weather season.
Another way you can get weather information and forecast is with a NOAA weather radio. K-Texas has partnered with United Supermarkets, and they're selling weather radios like this that will sound an alarm when dangerous weather is approaching. In fact, you can program this radio, which has the same technology, to only sound the alarm for the weather that's affecting your county. Listen to the warning and then tune to K-Texas for the latest storm tracking information. And during severe weather events, a team of meteorologists closely tracks storms at the National Weather Service office in San Angelo. We took a look at what's behind the watches and warnings they produce.
It may seem quiet now, but when severe weather strikes,
it gets a little hectic. The phones are ringing. There's a lot more people in here. We're communicating a lot with our counties, and it's just incredible, organized chaos.
During a normal day, 2 to 3 meteorologists are on duty, but in the case of bad weather, anywhere from 6 to 8 meteorologists may be called in.
Our main focus during severe weather months are to issue timely forecasts and accurate warnings. That's our primary focus.
The San Angelo office provides forecasts for 24 counties from Sonora all the way to Haskell. This keeps forecasters busy, even on quiet weather days.
Our day-to-day life here at the Weather Service, we're 24 hours a day. We're here all the time, and our primary job here is to issue forecasts and warnings.
The meteorologist in charge at the San Angelo office right now is Dr. Steve Lyons, which you may be familiar with as the former hurricane expert on the Weather Channel. A National Weather Service forecaster's daily job is to create short-term and long-term forecasts using satellite and model data.
What we do is go in and make sure the models are accurate for the day, and there's many a days where all of our computer models are totally wrong.
The goal of the office is to serve the public by looking out for severe weather before it happens, so they can send out appropriate alerts and warnings in as far advance as possible.
But I think what's satisfying for most of us is that we're serving the public, that we're saving lives. That's what we're all about here.
Forecasts go out from the National Weather Service office to media, including radio and television stations across the country.
And every year, the National Weather Service hosts a free storm spotter training class. The class teaches people like you everything about thunderstorms and how to spot tornadoes. Topics such as downbursts and flooding are also covered. This information is taught so that you can relay credible and valuable information to not only the National Weather Service, but also the media during bad storms. This year's class has already been held, but be sure to check back next February for the next one. There's also a group of people in Abilene that work together anytime severe weather is on the horizon. Emergency Management of Taylor County looks at the forecast and prepares ahead of time in the event of a serious flooding event or tornado outbreak. Officials also implement Code Red during nasty weather.
And they can automatically receive a severe weather warning or a tornado warning or flood warning. And I think that's very important because, that's the major way they can get warned, that and the NOAA radio.
Coming up, we'll take a look at how wind farms play a role on the Doppler radar's ability to track storms. Plus,
will a raging grass fire threaten your home this year? The future fire season next.
But first, can you answer this question? As a tornado approaches, is it a good idea to open windows to help equalize air pressure and help minimize damage to your home?
The K-Texas Severe Weather Special is brought to you by Abilene Teachers Federal Credit Union and Taylor Electric Cooperative.
the answer is false. A strong tornado will create its own opening, and being near a fragile pane of glass is not the place you want to be with flying debris outside. This spring, we're at a higher risk of fires, especially since La Nina is in control of our weather pattern. That means drier than normal conditions for west central Texas will likely continue into the spring. K-Texas meteorologist Julie Phillips found out what the outlook for wildfire danger is over the next couple of months.
It's early spring that we're most concerned about, where the rainfall typically goes up, and if we don't have that, we're going to have a significant drought that's already developed through winter.
Les Rogers of the Texas Forest Service also said that all of the grass that has grown up over the last year will make the risk for wildfire outbreaks even greater.
We have so much dry fuel out there, and the brush will not start to get any green up until we get some of those April conditions.
The Texas Forest Service is also expecting to see more fronts moving through this spring, kicking up very strong winds from the south.
You know, it'll get up 45, 60 mile an hour winds, and the RH will dip down in single digits into the teens.
These windy, dry conditions are extremely problematic when it comes to controlling wildfires.
A lot of folks, when they have a grass fire or wildfire, they call for aviation assets. Well, when your winds get up in the 40s, gusting up in the 60s, we can't fly. And so it's just up to the ground assets.
We'll need a lot of moisture in order to keep the fire risk down this spring. And if we don't get those spring rains, come July when temperatures climb into the triple digits, grass fires can start more easily, according to Rogers. To keep your home and property safe, the biggest thing you can do is clean up around it. Keep your grass cut short, which will help slow down a fire.
Have water hoses and everything available and ready to go in case you have to protect your home. And if you have to evacuate, if they come along and say evacuate because a fire is moving, know where to go.
If you are driving in pastures or pull off along the side of the road into dry grass.
Remember that those catalytic converters that are in vehicles now have been known to start brush fires and grass fires.
Lightning is an underrated weather killer in the United States, and to tell us more about this powerful phenomenon, here is KTEX's Chief Meteorologist, Mark Rowlett.
Lightning is 100 million volts of electricity that can easily strike 10 miles away from the thunderstorm. Over the past 30 years, lightning has killed an average of 58 people per year, making it the #2 weather-related killer. In addition, about 300 people are injured by lightning each year, many seriously. Every thunderstorm has lightning because it's the lightning that creates the thunder. In fact, you can tell how far away the lightning is in miles by counting the seconds between when you see the lightning and hear the thunder and dividing that number by 5. 10 seconds between the flash and the thunder means the lightning is only 2 miles away. If you can hear thunder, you are well within the range of the lightning striking you. When the thunder roars, get indoors. Inside is the place to be during a thunderstorm. Once inside, you should avoid using handheld appliances, plumbing, and even a corded telephone unless it's an emergency. If you can't get inside a building, get inside your car or truck and avoid touching metal objects in the vehicle. If you're really stuck outside, avoid metal objects like a barbed wire fence. Also, don't stand near a tall lone object like a telephone pole or a tall tree. And you should not be the tallest object in the field. Crouch down and let the storm pass. Once the storm passes, don't be in a hurry to get back outside. You should wait 30 minutes after the last clap of thunder before going back out. Besides hurting people and livestock, lightning also creates wildfires. One positive, lightning helps to put nitrogen in the rainwater, which is good for our crops. If someone is struck by lightning, they are safe to touch and should be given aid. Call 911 and perform CPR if the person is not breathing. Our live Doppler radar display also shows you the location of cloud-to-ground lightning in real time.
Thanks, Mark. And if you want to check out the most current weather in your area, KTEXAS has its own live Doppler radar channel. If you have cable, it is channel 125. KTEXAS is the only station in the big country that has its own Doppler radar. This is what gives us our 7-minute advantage when storms break out. You can access the radar 24 hours a day through our digital channel.
Our radar is also available on our website, www.ktexas.com, along with a forecast for the next 7 days. You'll also find a video of the current forecast by one of our meteorologists, as well as the latest weather discussion about what the day will bring. And the latest addition to our KTEXAS weather is the KTEXAS weather app, now available on iPad, iPhone, and Android smartphones. Search KTEXAS Television in your app store on your smartphone and download the free app. You'll instantly have access to radar featuring street level mapping and the latest forecast and warnings for your area.
Speaking of Doppler radar, some can have as much as 450,000 watts of power, and wind farms can generate up to 1.5 megawatts. So with all this power around, sometimes we can run into what's called false storms on the radar. And Danielle, you took a look at this issue.
The big country houses some of the biggest wind farms in the world, and they give off an enormous amount of power. And so does the Doppler radar, which we use to track storms. But with the wind turbines in the radar's line of sight, the energy given off by the turbine helps make a storm appear out of nowhere. You see, here's how the Doppler works. A beam inside rotates and emits short radio waves of energy, and when it hits a raindrop, the energy bounces back, showing up colors on a display screen, which is what you see on your TV at home. But when a wind turbine is working nearby, the Doppler's energy is reflected back. This makes a colorful blob appear and can be mistaken for a thunderstorm. It works the same during winter weather, although not as noticeable. However, telling the difference between weather and nothing at all is easy. When there's truly something going on, a time lapse will show movement of the storm, whereas the falsely reported blob will not move. For example, look here. Rain moves through the Midwest. Now look at the false report. There's no movement in any direction. If a real storm is stationary, a time loop will still show the evolution of it.
Next on the K-Texas Severe Weather Special, with a La Nina pattern in control, does this mean we'll see more storms? Meteorologist Julie Phillips takes a look.
And it's the #1 severe weather killer in the United States. We'll show you next. But first, think about this question. Will 2 feet of water float most vehicles? True or false? The answer is coming up.
The K-Texas Severe Weather Special is brought to you by Abilene Teachers Federal Credit Union and Taylor Electric Cooperative.
This statement is true. Just 2 feet of water will float a 3,000-pound car. That's why you should not drive through flooded roadways.
Welcome back. Flooding is the #1 severe weather killer in the United States, killing about 200 people each year. It's a rise of water that collects on the ground during a storm. Over 50% of flood-related drownings are vehicle-related. Texas accounts for most of these deaths, making up 76%. Flooding generally happens over a matter of hours, whereas flash flooding can occur in minutes.
The thing to remember is turn around, don't drown. If you see that road is flooded, turn around and go back. Nothing is worth your life.
And here's an example of flooding right in our own backyard. Tropical Storm Erin downgraded to a depression as it swept through the big country, but not before causing significant flooding. 6 to 7 inches of rain piled up on city streets, stranding motorists and causing threats for disease.
Remnants of Tropical Storm Hermine also threatened central Texas early last September. Hermine was unique because she developed from what was Tropical Depression 11. Peak winds between 50 and 70 miles per hour hit the South Texas coast, and the storm caused flash flooding in Austin and Waco, with much of the area receiving over 10 inches of rain. Luckily for us, we missed the flooding rain.
With Hermine this year, it went east, and that was very fortunate because all the heavy rain stayed east and south of our area. You got some rain out of it and maybe some flooding streets in the area, but it was really more beneficial rain than it was harmful.
Before we get to hurricane season, Mark has our spring outlook.
We saw very little severe weather last year. Here's a look at one reason why and the outlook for this spring. One trigger for severe weather is the dry line. It's the boundary between dry air to our west and the moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. Thunderstorms like forming on the east side of this boundary in the late afternoon hours. Most of last spring and summer, the dry line stayed farther to the west than we normally see, keeping us unusually muggy but fairly storm-free. This year, the dry line may be in a little more normal location, says Dr. Steve Lyons with the National Weather Service.
This year, it may be a little farther east, and we should see some more severe weather.
This spring, the outlook from the Climate Prediction Center calls for near normal rainfall for our area and warmer than normal temperatures for our area.
Well, the temperatures are forecast to be warmer than average, so we may start to see some of this severe weather a little earlier than average. Compared to last year, it's got to be a little more active. It was very, very quiet last year. If it's not more active than last year, boy, we're in great shape for 2 years in a row. Whether or not we have tornadoes in the area, it's a impossibility to tell.
Thanks, Mark. And when severe storms develop, hail can become a destructive force, which the town of Roby experienced firsthand back in 2009. These huge hailstones pounded the city on June 2nd, smashing windows and damaging over 400 homes by the time the storm had ended. Nearly every roof in town was damaged from what residents described as baseball-sized hail. The storm lasted about 20 minutes, but thankfully didn't injure anyone. No matter what the weather, K-Texas meteorologists are constantly updating the forecast so that you can plan ahead. One way is through our K-Texas weather line. That number is 672-1312. When you call, you'll get the time, temperature, and most up-to-date weather forecast from one of our meteorologists.
Coming up, the importance of teaching kids about weather.
Plus, we take a look at some of Mother Nature's destruction on the city of Brownwood. And do you know the answer to this question? Can lightning strike as far as 10 miles away from a thunderstorm? We'll have the answer when we return.
The K-Texas Severe Weather Special is brought to you by Abilene Teachers Federal Credit Union and Taylor Electric Cooperative.
It's true, lightning can strike 10 miles away from a thunderstorm, and that is long before you'd be able to hear thunder. So when thunderstorms are approaching, it's important you get inside.
Down in the heartland, they've been hit by numerous thunderstorms over the past few years. In fact, take a look at this video of severe damage caused to one Brownwood business owner's car shop. This storm caused $40,000 to $50,000 in damage and left people without their cars for days. 80-mile-per-hour winds ripped through the city back in May 2009.
We think it's important to not only give the weather to you every day, but visit the classrooms of the students to let them know what to do in the event of bad weather.
At K-Texas, we organize and give weather talks to students of all ages and grade levels. Kids can learn everything from snowstorms to tornadoes and safety when it comes to Mother Nature's worst. Here's what one teacher has to say about the importance of these talks.
I think it's a fun way to kind of bring what we do in school to everyday life in the outside world. We always say what you do now will relate to what you do outside of school, and so it's a nice way to kind of bring the two together.
And speaking of students and the importance of learning about weather, schools across the Big Country participate in mock tornado drills, typically in late February or early March, to prepare for the upcoming severe weather season. Kids are taught to duck and cover in the event of an actual tornado.
Here at K-Texas, we are committed to tracking storms to help keep you and your family safe. Whether it's with our own Doppler radar or our Storm Tracker network, we work hard to bring you the latest weather forecast and storm tracking information. You can get that information right here on K-Texas, on our website, ktxs.com, on your smartphone with our free app, and email messages sent to you with the latest warnings for your county. We hope you've got a refresher course on what to do when severe weather comes your way. We'll be here tracking it. Thanks for watching.